The women of Akata returned to their meeting place with sadness and disappointment. They decided to return to their homes and wait to see if the elders would have a rethink. They continued to work hard to provide for their husbands and children, enduring the abuse. Even the widows had to endure their sons' abuse and maltreatment. As they gathered once again under the wings of the achi tree, Abiba, a woman with 10 children, stood up and spoke. My good women of Akata, I greet you all. This is the first time we have the courage to come together as women to seek a better future, not only for ourselves, but for all our daughters and granddaughters yet to be born. We deserve a life not of slavery in our own homes, but a life filled with joy and support of our men. Look at me. I have 10 children, plus my husband and his father to provide for. Every morning I go out and bend my back in the scorching sun until sunset and still receive beatings from my husband if I don't provide enough. All because I was born a woman. Please, my fellow women, let us do something now before it is too late. She sat down. Mba was next to speak. She spoke. My fellow women, what we are doing here today can save not just our lives, but that of our daughters. Please, let us not give up on this fight. I believe with unity we will succeed. It is not the treatment we receive from our men that pains me. What bothers me most is our sons. The sons we carried in our wombs. They grew up to treat us just like their fathers. The other day, I heard Mama Edu, who is old and sick, screaming for her life. When I approached the hut, I peeked through her window. You won't believe what I saw. What did you see? Another woman asked. My fellow women, I saw Mama Edu on her knees while Edu was whipping his mother with a very big stick. Mama Edu would have died. Thank God the poor woman survived. My women, I pray this does not happen to me in the future, or any one of us here for that matter. She sat down. By this time, most women were already in tears as some of the stories were like theirs. They realized how much they had in common, and this fueled their determination to do something about their situation. More women began to share their stories, inspired by the courage of Mama Ndidi, Abiba, Mama Titi, and Mba. After their story sharing, Gino stood up and spoke. My fellow women, today we form a bond, a strong bond that must not be broken. We've opened to each other, bearing no secrets and seeking redemption. It is time to decide. I have an idea. I believe that the power to make them feel our importance lies in our hands. What do you mean, Gino? Asked Mama Titi. I mean, if we stop providing for them, they will realize how important we are and the need to listen to us. I know they will want to show their power by beating us, but if we stay strong and united in this, they will soon become hungry and weak, that they cannot raise their hands on us anymore. You know these men, they are so lazy that they cannot even boil water for themselves. Not to talk of cooking a meal, Gino replied. I think that is a very good idea, said Mama Ndidi, Gino's friend. The women, after much deliberation, decided to go with Gino's idea. Mama Udoka added, and no woman must agree to sleep with her husband until this matter is resolved. If anyone go against this, she has betrayed the Akata women. But what about our children? If we don't cook at home, won't they starve? Mama Kitty asked with a worried glance. That's a very good question, said Juno. We need widows with only daughters to offer their hearts so we can all store food and meat there to feed ourselves and our daughters. As for our sons, we will leave them for their father, whom they look up to. They too must learn the importance of a woman. All the women were impressed with the plan. The widows who qualified immediately offered their oath to be used. They also sent 2 women to the king's 4 wives to inform them. The king was no different from the men in the village. He forcefully marries anyone he chooses, and the queens must do whatever he asks them to do, no matter how demeaning it was, to entertain him and his cabinet members. As soon as the information got to the king's wives, they were so happy and immediately informed the women of their full support. The women of Abata began to execute their plan, storing food in huts of widows who had no sons for fear of being exposed. They made sure they had enough to last them and their daughters for a long time. They selected among themselves strong and brave women to protect the huts where they kept food. These women were determined to fight any intruder. Any woman whose husband sent away was sent to the food hut to stay with their daughters. They were to leave their sons behind for their husbands to care for. Others stayed, knowing their husbands would soon lack the strength to continue beating them. The men were starving. They watched the women took over their palm wine baths. But despite this, their pride and ego held them from making amends. The husbands went to the elders, who explained that they were facing same situation and decided to go seek help from the king. The palace was untidy, as no man was expected to sweep, not even the palace guards. On seeing the king, the elders could tell that he too was hungry and weak. They asked what they must do to gain control of their women once again. Are you still talking about control? We should be talking about how we can beg our women so they can come help us and forgive us. For weeks now, I have not tasted meal nor feel the touch of a woman, Elder Ukbovo said.
Forgive us for what? Ukbovo, for keeping our tradition alive? I have always suspected you to be a woman rapper, Elder Odo said scornfully.
Elder Ukbovo angrily got up and raised his hand, about to strike him, but the king's hungry-looking guard stopped him. As they were talking, another elder walked in carrying his son on his back. The unusual sight of a man carrying his child on his back like a woman made the elder scream.
Abomination! Hey! Abomination! In this community?
After long deliberation, the king and the elders agreed to change the tradition, curious to witness the outcome of such a compromise. At the king's order, the town crier was seen announcing to the whole village that henceforth all men must love and respect their women. They were to work hard alongside their women to provide for their families. The women, on hearing this news, were so happy. The ensuing week saw men hesitantly joining their wives in daily chores, their initially awkward attempt turning into moments of shared laughter and newfound respect. The transformation was gradual but profound. The Iroko tree, once a shelter for idle men, became the communal space for storytelling and planning for the village's future, involving every voice irrespective of gender. Oku, witnessing the tireless spirit of Juno and the other women, found a renewed respect for his wife and an active role in their unborn children's future. Through the courage of Juno, Mama Ndidi, and the women of Akata, the village slowly rekindled the spirit of unity, love, and support. enduring testament to the power of voice and the strength of a unified community. The end. Thank you for listening to this story. What do you think about the action of the women of Akata? Do you think they did the right thing by requesting their men to join them in providing for their family? Please share with me in the comment section what you think they could have done better. Thank you for listening to this story. Bye.